Hi, this is Mallikarjun, lecturer in mechanical engineering. GMRP Utnur. In the previous units, in the previous video sessions, we have discussed about the solid solutions. We have discussed about the solidification of the metals. We have discussed about the cooling curves for a pure metal. We have discussed the cooling curve for pure iron. We have discussed iron carbide diagram, iron carbide equilibrium diagram. Then we discussed about the various phases present in it and the cast iron, steel, and the classification of steels and the classification of cast irons. And in this video we will be discussing about the heat treatment processes. Heat treatment processes of those steels and cast irons. Mostly heat treatment is conducted on steels in order to get the required mechanical properties. It can be defined as heat treatment can be defined as the process of heating and cooling of a metal or an alloy in its solid state in order to change the properties of the material. So the purpose of heat treatment are to improve machinability, to refine grain size, to relieve the internal stresses of the metal inducing during cold or hot working, to improve mechanical properties like tensile strength, hardness, toughness, ductility, and to improve magnetic and electrical properties. And to produce a hard surface on a ductile interior or to increase resistance to wear, heat and corrosion. So that is the main purpose of the heat treatment. So there are three stages in heat treatment process. Heating the metal or an alloy to the required temperature in the appropriate atmosphere. After heating the metal or an alloy to the required temperature, the metal or an alloy is held at this temperature for a period of time to attain uniform temperature throughout the section. Then cooling. So after soaking the material for sufficient period of time, then the material is cooled at specified rate. So that is, first, heat treatment is a process of heating and cooling of a metal or an alloy in its solid state in order to change the properties of the metal. And the purpose of the heat treatment process is to improve the machinability or to refine the grain size or to relieve the internal stresses or to improve the mechanical properties like tensile strength, hardness, toughness or ductility, or to improve the wear resistance, or to produce a hard surface on a ductile interior. So, but how this heat treatment process is conducted? So, this heat treatment process is conducted in three stages. The first stage is the heating stage, and second stage is the soaking stage, and third stage is the cooling stage. So, what do we do in heating? So, heating the metal or an alloy to the required temperature in the appropriate atmosphere. That means heating the metal in the furnace in maybe in the oxidizing atmosphere or a reducing atmosphere or a neutralizing atmosphere. And soaking is after heating the metal or an alloy to the required temperature, the metal or an alloy is held at that temperature for a period of time to attain uniform temperature throughout the section. So heating is not sufficient. So whatever the temperature we want to reach, that at that temperature the material should be held for some time, so that the temperature throughout the section or the throughout the metal will be uniform, and also whatever the grain size will also get attained uniform grain size. After that, then the material is cooled at a specified rate is called as cooling. There are types of cooling. A very low cooling is called as annealing, slow cooling is called as normalizing, and rapid cooling is called as hardening. So there is no difference whether you heat it slowly or you heat it fastly, is doesn't matter, but soaking time is definitely a very important factor, because it has to attain the uniform temperature throughout the section or throughout the metal, and also uniform grain size or uniform phase throughout the metal. So soaking is important. After the material is soaked for sufficient time and for the sufficient requirement, then the metal is cooled. But in heat treatment, cooling is the main factor which affects the final properties of the metal. So whatever purpose we are trying to heat treat, that whole purpose will depend on the cooling process. So cooling can be done in different types. So we mainly cooling is classified into three types, that is very low cooling, slow, that is slow cooling is called as annealing, and then slow cooling is normalizing, and then little more faster cooling is rapid cooling called as hardening or quenching. So what is annealing? Annealing is nothing but heating a metal to a certain temperature just above the critical temperature, and then slowly cooling in the furnace in order to relieve the internal stresses in order to refine the grain size is called as annealing. And if same heating to up to above the upper critical temperature and then cooling it still air is called as normalizing. Normalizing is also done to get grain refinement and relieve internal stresses and to increase machinability. But rapid cooling is nothing but quenching the component after heating to the required temperature and soaking, and quenching directly into a predetermined temperature oil or into water is called as quenching. So all this we'll be discussing in the upcoming video sessions. So now the next topic what we have is what is critical rate of cooling. Critical rate of cooling, the minimum cooling rate at which all the austenite is supercooled to M and it's transformed into martensite is called critical cooling rate. Critical cooling rate is nothing but heating the component or heating the steel to the upper critical temperature, or that is A3 line or ACM line. In hypoeutectoid steels it is ACM line. Heating the material 30 to 50 degrees centigrade above the A3 line and holding there for sufficient period, and then after once the entire steel After the entire steel converts into austenite, then the austenite is allowed to transform, the entire austenite is allowed to transform into martensite. So when the entire austenite is transformed, sorry, to transform the entire austenite to martensite, whatever the cooling rate is required, that cooling rate can be called as critical rate of cooling. So critical rate of cooling is nothing but it is a cooling rate in which the entire austenite is transformed into martensite. So the magnitude of cooling rate depends on the stability of the austenite. The higher its stability, the less critical cooling rate. Critical cooling rate may vary in wide range in accordance with the carbon content of a steel and the size of austenite grains. Eutectoid steel has the lowest critical cooling rate. Most alloying elements increase the stability of austenite and this lowers the critical cooling rate. Generally, in the figure shown in this, cooling the austenite or steel without touching the nose to the temperature around 250 to below 250 or 200 degrees centigrade. So when we cool the steel at the temperature, all the austenite will transform into martensite. So to acquire high cooling rate is little difficult. So to make cooling rate low, some alloying elements are added in order to stabilize the austenite. So this is critical cooling rate. So far we were discussing about the martensite, and under slow or moderate cooling rates, the carbon atoms are able to diffuse out of the austenite structure, while the iron atoms move slightly to become so martensite is a phase, we can say, just like austenite. It is also a phase which has a BCT structure, which is very hard, whose Rockwell's hardness is around 65%, 65 RC. So the temperature of start of martensite formation is known as MS temperature, and the end of martensite formation as MF. MF means martensite finish, MS means martensite start temperature. MS temperature and the end of martensite formation is MF temperature. The steel is held at any temperature below the MS, the transformation of martensite will stop and will not proceed again. That means for the martensitic start temperature is 250 degrees centigrade. So below 250, that means when coming from higher temperatures, that means above 250 degrees centigrade, if the temperature, if any steel is held above the 250 degrees centigrade, then this martensitic transformation will be stopped. So the martensite temperature cannot be suppressed, nor can the martensite temperature cannot be changed by changing the cooling rate. So for martensite phase to occur, it should be directly quenched into 250 below the 250 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, uh, no matter what cooling rate we are using, but escaping the nose, as shown in the figure, escaping the nose at any cooling rate, we can directly quench the steel below 250 degrees centigrade or 200 degrees centigrade for the martensite to form. That is, whatever the austenite present will entirely convert into martensite. So martensite is the hardest material and brittle material, so it gives more strength and hardness to steel. Martensite is probably never in a condition of real equilibrium, although it may persist indefinitely at or near room temperature. So martensite is a metastable. Martensite phase is a metastable phase actually. It is not in the equilibrium, it is at high energy levels. So we can see in this figure the first curve from the left side. The first curve is the transformation starting curve, and the last curve, that is the extreme right curve, C type is C curve, extreme curve, right curve is the end of the formation transformation. So the first curve is like the transformation of austenite to martensite begins, and the last curve indicates the completion of the transformation. But here once the you see as we can see the yellow line, the cooling is started above the nose of the curve, and it is held at the temperature for some time. That means whatever the austenite present in the steel will entirely transformed into pearlite. And if you see the blue line, it is suddenly brought to the temperature range of 300 degrees centigrade and held at the temperature for some time, and at the middle of the transformation it is again quenched to below 150 degrees centigrade. So that means a partial formation of bainite and martensite is formed. So the martensitic structure is obtained from austenite based on the cooling rate. So the structure can be considered as transition between the unstable phase and the final equilibrium condition of a mixture of ferrite and cementite. The hardness of martensite increases rapidly at first with increasing carbon content, reaching about Rockwell C60 at 0.4% carbon, and after 0.4% carbon to 0.8% carbon, the hardness reaches to RC65. This is due to the greater tendency to retain austenite in higher carbon steels. The high hardness of martensite is believed to be a result of lattice distortions during high cooling rates, since the amount of carbon present in many times more than can be held in solid solutions. Therefore, the maximum hardness obtained from a steel in martensitic condition seems to be a function of carbon content only. This means the formation of martensite is a function of two factors. One is cooling rate, not cooling rate, it is directly irrespective of the cooling rate, it has to be quenched to below 200 degrees centigrade from the austenitic phase. And the other one is carbon content. In carbon content, the hardness of the that is the formation of martensite. Hardness increases based on martensite. So based on the martensite, martensite is formed on the carbon content. As the percentage of carbon increases from 0.025 to 0.4%, the percentage of martensite increases because it is the uh, unstable phase of a mixture of ferrite and cemented, that is perlite. Martensite is formed up to 0.4%. Whatever the martensite formed up to 0.4% is increases the hardness to Rc60. Whereas from 0.4% carbon to 0.8%, almost double the carbon content is only increasing 5 units, that is Rc65. So that is Rockwell hardness is not affecting the carbon content. That means the formation of martensite is not effective after 0.4% carbon. So this is very important. So martensite is a function of carbon. So martensite is a supersaturated solid solution of carbon and alpha iron, resulting in BCT crystal structure. It is a very hard and brittle metal. So there are several important characteristics. So what is the structure of alpha iron? The structure of alpha iron is BCC. So what is the structure of martensite? The crystal structure of martensite is BCT. That means while cooling, it has to form BCC structure. So because of rapid cooling, there is a elongation of the lattice which forms tetragonal shape. So that is how martensite gives BCT structure. So there are several important characteristics of the martensitic transformation. The transformation is diffusionless and there is no change in chemical composition. So there is no chemical composition change. Whatever, to increase the hardness, we need to increase martensite. So what is martensite? Martensite is a phase just like austenite. So in order to get the martensitic phase, we need to heat a steel to its austenitic phase and hold there for sufficient time so that the entire structure converts into austenite, a fine grain, equiaxis grain, and then it is quenched below 200 degrees centigrade to get martensite. Okay, so there is no chemical change where we are not adding any extra carbon or any other alloying element to increase the hardness or strength of the material. We are only by just heat treating, only by heating and cooling, we are changing the austenitic phase to martensitic phase, and martensitic phase is a very brittle and hard phase which increases the hardness of the material. So the transformation proceeds during cooling and ceases if cooling is interrupted. Therefore, the transformation depends only upon the decrease in temperature and is independent of time. So that is the meaning of independent of cooling rate. It doesn't matter what is the cooling rate, how, but it has to suddenly quench it to below 200 degrees centigrade, that is MS temperature. So the amount of martensite formed with a decreasing temperature is not linear. That is the whatever, see, if I cool it with some particular cooling rate, the amount of martensite formed is slow cooling rate is low martensite formation, and higher cooling rates will be having higher martensitic formation is not a criteria. Actually, whatever the cooling rate, independent of the time, and just quench it below 200 degrees centigrade, and what based on the carbon percentage, whatever the austenite is formed, the entire austenite will transform into martensite. But there is a problem during this transformation in the martensite. That is, there is no guarantee that 100% martensite is transformed into 100% austenite is transformed into martensite, because there will be always, when the steel section is quenched into water below 200 degrees centigrade, rapid cooling, the outer surface will first get chilled and it gets cooled rather than the core portion of the section. So there is always a chance of austenite to retain as it is, because the core section will not get the chilling effect in order to transform into martensite. So therefore the strength or the hardness and the strength of the material depends upon the retained austenite. So whatever austenite that remains as it is without transforming into martensite, because of high thickness of the section, is called as retained austenite. So retained austenite is a big problem in the martensitic transformation. So we have to always take care about the retained austenite during the martensitic transformation. So the amount of martensite formed with a decreasing temperature is not linear. So the number of martensite needles produced at first is small, then the number increases, and finally near the end it decreases again. So this is about the martensite. So the structure can be considered as a transition between the unstable and the final equilibrium condition of a mixture of ferrite and cementite. So the hardness of martensite increases rapidly at first with increase in carbon content, reaching about Rockwell C60 at 0.4% carbon, and after 0.4% carbon to 0.8% carbon, the hardness reaches RC65. This is due to the greater tendency to retain austenite in higher carbon steels. The high hardness of martensite is believed to be a result of lattice distortions during high cooling rates, since the amount of carbon present is many times more than can be held in a solid solution. Therefore, the maximum hardness obtainable from a steel in martensitic condition seems to be a function of carbon content only. So after martensite, so there is another structure called as bainite. Bainite is a crystalline structure, uh, microstructure feather that forms in steel upon heating the guided cooling. So we can see here the martensitic structure. It is a needles like structure. We can see clearly. There is no grain boundaries, nothing. It is a needle like structure, random in a random direction. There is nothing like any grain boundaries, anything. So because of the structure, hardness increases drastically. But just above the martensitic temperature, there is another structure called as bainite. So bainite is a very fine feather like structure of perlite. So this is martensitic structure, and then we will be discussing about the bainite. So bainite is a crystalline microstructure feature that forms in steel upon heating and guided cooling. So bainite is formed, if we can see in this structure, in this diagram. See, so if we heat a steel to above ACM line, hypoelectric steel above the ACM line, and we directly bring it to the temperature 300 degrees centigrade and hold it there until this blue line crosses the last line, that is the right curve, that means bainite is formed. So what does that mean? Bainite is a little lesser harder than the martensite. So bainite we cannot identify it under microscope with optical normal microscope. So it is very fine structure of perlite. In perlite we have different microstructures. One is sorbitite, sorbite, trustite, and upper bainite and lower bainite, and then martensite. So these are the different phases, microstructures. Actually martensite is a microstructure. Okay, so this bainite is next to martensite. So it is named after Edgar C. Bain, a US metallurgist who worked on the alloying and heat treatment of steel in Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. Bainite is not a phase in thermodynamic sense but an acicular microstructure that can form in steels at temperatures of 250 to 550 degrees centigrade. So at 550 degrees centigrade we get upper bainite, and at 250 degrees centigrade we get lower bainite, which is very fine. Upper bainite is very coarse and lower bainite is very fine. So depending on the alloy composition, specifically on the carbon content, it can be formed as decomposition product from cooling austenite below a critical temperature that depends on the alloy content. So bainite commonly consists of cementite and dislocation rich ferrite. The high concentration of dislocations in the ferrite present in bainite makes this ferrite hard. So when there is more dislocations, ferrite will also becomes hard because there will be a disturbance in the transformation of stress. So therefore dislocation of ferrite leads to increase in the hardness of the ferrite. So the cementite in bainite is typically not regularly arranged in the form of parallel arrays or plates, but appears instead in the form of many irregularly arranged precipitates inside the small dislocation. So if we can see the microstructure here, see the difference between perlite. So perlite can be easily seen, but whereas bainite, which is formed at 290 degrees centigrade, it is very hard, and bainite formed at 180 degrees centigrade is further difficult. And we can also see martensite, which is below 200 degrees centigrade, formed at below 200 degrees centigrade. So the structures, so we can easily see these hardness and strength and hardness of a steel can be only managed by these three microstructures. One is martensitic microstructure, and the other one is bainitic microstructure, and the third one is perlitic microstructure. In perlitic microstructure we have coarser perlite structure, we have fine perlite structure, and coarser another one is sorbite, and the fourth one is trustite. So these are the different microstructures of perlite, sorbite and trustite. And after trustite we have upper bainite, and then lower bainite, which is very fine, and then finally martensite. So based on this, so now comes the point here. What is the structure of bainite? What is the crystal structure of bainite? The crystal structure of the bainite is BCC. Only the crystal structure of martensite is different because of the quenching rapid action. Otherwise the uh, transforming austenite into perlite or bainite will give only BCC structure at room temperature. So bainite is formed just like perlite, but the cooling rate is high. So we have to cool the steel directly below the nose and held there for sufficiently long time until the entire austenite transforms into bainite. There are other structures which are present. So the RC of bainite will be around RC40. So that is the another thing. Yeah, if we see here, this is the nose, the first curve, and the middle curve is the dotted curve, which represents the presence of austenite plus perlite above the nose, and the presence of austenite plus bainite at the below the nose region. And once the last curve is crossed, what we have is coarse perlite. Coarse perlite is RC15, and medium perlite is RC30, fine perlite is RC40, and upper or feathery bainite RC40, and lower bainite is RC50, it will be around 50, and then finally martensite will be around RC60. So around above A2 A3 line, austenite is very stable, that we can see in the CC curve, cooling curve, or time temperature transformation. Actually this curve is called as time temperature transformation curve, which we will be discussing it in the future video sessions about temperature transformation curves. So with the help of these curves, we will select the appropriate cooling rate without touching the nose. So this is y-axis is around about temperature, and the x-axis is about time. So time indicates the x-axis, and temperature indicates the y-axis. And the two curves, the first curve, the left side curve indicates the starting of the transformation, that is austenite transforms to whether perlite or anything. And then the last curve, that is the extreme right curve, indicates the completion of the transformation, whether it completes the austenite transformation into perlite or sorbite or bainite. So that curves indicates the so in this video session we have discussed what is a heat treatment. So heat treatment, it can be defined as the process of heating and cooling of a metal. So the process of heating and cooling of a metal can improve machinability, can improve the grain refinement, or it can relieve the internal stresses which are induced during hot working or cold working, or to improve mechanical properties like tensile strength, hardness, toughness, or ductility, or to improve magnetic and electrical properties, or to increase resistance to wear, heat, and corrosion, or to produce a hard surface on a ductile interior. So these are the advantages or the purposes of heat treatment. So heating, so how does the treatment is conducted? We also discussed this. So heat treatment is conducted in 3 stages. In first stage it is heated in the furnace to the required temperature. in an appropriate atmosphere, whether it is reducing atmosphere or oxidizing atmosphere or neutral atmosphere, and then soaking at the temperature in the furnace for sufficiently long period until the entire section gets uniform temperature, and whatever the phase it has to get stabilized. After the phase gets stabilized and the temperature gets uniform throughout the section, then the third stage starts, that is cooling. So cooling is the very important stage which decides the final properties or the final phase or the final microstructure of the steel. So heating and soaking is okay, but more than these two stages, cooling is very important to get the required microstructure. So in this process of cooling, we have different types of coolings, that is very low cooling and slow cooling and rapid cooling. So based on the cooling, and apart from this there are other cooling uh, uh, methods are also there, but mainly they are broadly classified into three classes. One is called as annealing, and the other is called as normalizing, and the third type of cooling is called as quenching, hardening or quenching. So based on this cooling types, the final microstructure will be decided, and it will be, and the mechanical properties will be based on that microstructure. So now, what is annealing and what is normalizing and what is quenching, we will be discussing in the upcoming videos. But before going that, finally let us discuss what is critical rate of cooling. So critical rate of cooling, it is nothing but it is the minimum cooling rate at which all the austenite is supercooled to martensite. That is, it is the minimum temperature at which a material can be cooled so that the entire austenite present in the steel will get transformed to martensite, whatever it may be, at whatever for example 25 degrees centigrade for 1 minute or 25 degrees centigrade per 10 minutes, reducing of 25 degrees centigrade per 10 minutes, or reducing temperature for 50 degrees for 10 minutes, irrespective of the rate, just all the austenite is transformed to martensite. So whatever speed you do, that minimum, that rate, austenite will, entire austenite will transform into martensite, is called as critical rate of cooling. So the magnitude of critical cooling rate depends on the stability of the martensite. The higher its stability, the less the critical cooling rate. And critical cooling rate may vary in wide range in accordance with the carbon content of a steel and the size of austenite grains. Eutected steel has the lowest critical cooling rate. Most alloying elements increase the stability of austenite, and this lowers the critical cooling rate. So we discussed that alloying elements always stabilize the austenite phase. When austenite phase is stabilized, then there will be low critical cooling rate will be adopted. So that is the reason why we were discussing about the martensite. So martensite is a needle like structure which is formed when the metal is when the entire austenite is transformed into martensite. So we discussed what is the structure of martensite, we discussed what is the structure of bainite, and to transform the entire austenite into martensite, what we require is we need to quench the austenitic phase to below 200 degrees centigrade, where the entire austenite will transform into martensite. So just above the martensitic transformation, if we quench the material at that particular temperature, then the structure what we get is bainite. So these are the two structures which has high strength and hardness. So steels can get uh, can be managed to get high strength and hardness based on the microstructures. So we'll be discussing the other microstructures in the upcoming videos. I hope you understood this video. Thank you.